Hey guys, it's Katie. So what I haven't done in a long time is the watercolor or torn paper technique. And it's not a new technique, and I'm sure a lot of you who have been doing polymer clay for a while have seen it. What I'm going to do is I'm trying to think of something to go with the canes we've been recently making. So I'm going to create some veneers and see if I can get one to go with it. And my goal in this is to use a bunch of different materials so that way everybody has something possibly at home to do this. So a lot of times when creators make the watercolor technique, they either do it with white or black, but you can do multiple different colors. The main thing is the color you're going to put your medium on needs to be like white or a pale color. I'm going to be using in this one here, I think I'm going to today be doing one with alcohol inks. I'm going to do one with acrylic paints, and I'm going to do one with chalk pastels, with chalks. You could use mica powders. We could add some silver foil or metal foils on it. We can kind of add whatever we want, which is cool, but we're laying color onto a clay, which means your color that your medium that you're gonna put on your color needs to be light. So like this is I'm gonna use Primo Pearl, white pearl, which I think might be cool. You can use white or whatever. If you put it on black, you're not gonna see your color, right? The other thing to note, and this will make more sense as we go, the thicker your layers of clay, when you start tearing off pieces and overlapping them, the more your clay, your base clay is gonna show. Okay, so again, the more we get into this, the more you will see. So right now, this Primo White Pearl is on a 0. I think I'm going to bring it down to a 3. Just so not too much clay is showing, but a little bit of clay is showing. I'm also going to work on some deli paper. And then I'm going to back this one. I'm going to use 2 colors of clay with like a silver. But I don't want much of this showing, so I might take this one down to a 4. And honestly, to figure out what you want, it's just going to take experimentation. You don't need to make big batches of it. You can make small batches until you figure out exactly what you want. My goal in this video today is just to create something that everybody could do, because I assume you have one of these mediums, whether it's mica powders, chalk pastels, or eyeshadow, acrylic paints, alcohol inks. You could even do this with roll thin layers of clay out and smear it on, or just put them on. You could kind of do this with whatever. So I'm going to take this pearl and lay it on the silver. So you're going to need, you don't need to do 2 colors of clay. You could have totally just done white or just the pearl, which I will do on different ones. So I'm going to do 2 colors of clay. Some people, again, do black and white here. Or you could do gold, or you could do a color under the white or the pearlish color. You could do whatever color you want to show up. Honestly, it really is all up to you and your creativity. And the sky is the limit. Okay, so the silver is now on a 4, and the pearl is now on a 3, which is still pretty thick with them both together. So I might actually take them both down to a 3. Just stretch this out a little bit. There we go. That looks like a better thickness. And these scraps will just make a lighter silver color here. So, not a big deal. I'm not going to make big batches of each, because I don't really need it for one pendant. Then, in this case, I'm going to be using alcohol inks on this one. Now, again, depending on your medium that you put on is going to depend how bright this shows up. I have some upstairs I could bring down, but I have one that I did. Where is my box of my pendants? Let me find my pendants. I think I got them down here. Okay, here we go. So here's one. This one's done with alcohol inks. And you see how brightly they show up. Acrylic paint will probably show up this bright too. Then you have this one on this half here that I did with chalk. And I did another one with chalk that's really, really faint. Right there, that yellow part. That one's done with chalk. So, depending on the medium you use, will depend how bright or how faint this shows up. See, that one's done with chalk. Okay, so again, depending on your medium will depend how vibrant this becomes. So on this one, we're going to use alcohol inks, and we just need to really just apply them somehow. Maybe I have a bunch of Q-tips standing by. Yep. And I can use Q-tips to spread these on. So really, you're just spreading color on. You don't want any big blotches of color, or you could do blotches because we're going to be tearing this. It doesn't really matter. Just get color on. So this one here is Sublime. It's by Ranger. It's their Pearl. So I'm going to go with greens on this one. So that one's called Sublime in the pearls. This one is by Ranger. This one's Clover. Let's see what this one looks like. This might be more of a blue-green. Like on the bluer end. This one's more on the yellow. Ooh. Jackson! Hey! Sorry, I wanted to make sure he stopped barking. So I put some Clover on. Then we have this Rainforest Green. Let's try some of that. This one's by the Jacquard Pinata. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, yeah, that's a dark one. Cool. I think we might put some silver leaf on this one. Why not? And we can see different ways it's going to show up. The hard thing is you can't really see what it's going to look like until you bake it. And I don't know if I'm going to bake them right now. I might bake them just a little part of it so you can see it, but I might also wait until I make my pendant in another video so the video doesn't get too long. Just a little bit of that dark green. And I have one more green. This is the Ranger Citrus. So let's see what that looks like. It might be close to the Sublime other than this Sublime is metallic. Oh. Oop. And you can do not just one color palette like greens or blues. You can do like a rainbow if you want. You could do green, blue, orange, pink, purple, and you can mix them all together. You don't have to stick with just one color palette. I think that's what I'm going to do, other than if I did like blue and purple or pink and purple, or, you know, I'm going to stick with families, I think, myself, but kind of go for whatever you like. Whatever makes you happy, you know, is what you want to go with. I'm going to add a little bit more of this Sublime Pearl one, just because I kind of feel like it. And they can mix and make other color tones. So it's not just 4 colors, it's 4 colors and then where they have mixed. You know what I mean? I don't want that dark to be too dark. That was the Rainforest, that's really dark. I might add a little more of this Clover. This is fun. I mean, you kind of just go for it. And every time you're going to get something different. You know, there's no way of matching something you've done. I mean, you can use the same colors, but they're always going to look different. Okay, now we have that on. I think I'm going to add some because the backing's silver, either some silver leaf or colored leaf. I do have like a green in my metal leaves that I got on Amazon. I believe this is on my Amazon Ambassador page. So I have a green in here. Let me see what it looks like. It might be more like Christmas green though. I don't want to open it over it. Let's see if I can get one to see. That one's like, can you see it? That's like Christmas green. So I think I'm going to go with silver. And I like silver, which is why I do silver most of the time and not gold, because I'm a silver fan. So let's see. I didn't want that big of a piece. I didn't expect it all to stick. There we go. Just little pieces of it here and there. That might give a different effect. There's a color spot you don't really like, you can put the silver leaf there, because when we're done with it, it's going to kind of crackle. I don't want tons of it, but maybe just a little bit. Okay, that's probably enough. I can get this stuck to my finger. There we go. So, I mean, ultimately it looks kind of funny, but they turn out pretty neat. And again, depending how dark you make this will depend how it looks in the end. Okay, so that's kind of what we have, and I want to make sure it's relatively dry. So let that sit on the side. It's pretty much dry, but I just want to be sure it's dry. The next thing we're going to need is translucent. Okay, now I am using my Primo white translucent. I found I prefer Cernet, but I don't want to use up my Cernet on this because I don't need it to be super clear in this case, or not yellowy. You know, I don't think having the translucent tint a little yellow will matter because there's so much color, and we're rolling this out so thin that I don't think it matters 100% to have the most beautiful translucent. I'd rather save that for my canes and things I need beautiful translucent for. So ultimately, this translucent is rolled out on the thinnest setting I can possibly get on my pasta machine, which is a 9, which means I had to go down from a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I had to go step by step, otherwise mine will rip, okay? Let's see if I can pick this up without it ripping, because it's been sitting there for a minute. For more than a minute. I might have to roll it back out. I might have to roll this back out. Yeah, because it's kind of gone stuck. So I'm going to roll this back through my pasta machine until I get a sheet. Just because it's too hard to pick it off at one piece. Doesn't really matter. I had to condition it because it was a pretty crumbly. So I'm going to roll this out into a 9. So that's on a 9. And you want to get it as thin as you possibly can. And this is what's going to also protect your medium. Just trying to stretch it a little bit more. I don't think I have enough to cover this whole sheet, but close enough. It's just so hard to handle, you know what I mean? Like it's just flimsy. The big thing is we want to try to prevent as many air bubbles as possible, but again, super hard to do. While I have a little extra, I'm going to lay it over here, which might not be perfect, but might double up a 9, but that's okay. Now, when we do the chalk one, you're going to find that in this case, with chalks, it's really hard to get this translucent to stick to the chalk. You can do it, it's just harder to do. Just so heads up on that if you're going to use chalks or eyeshadows. It's really, really hard to get it to stick, but it can be done, and I've done it. So when we get there, I'll show you that. Because the chalk is like a medium that wants to release. You know, it's almost like using your cornstarch. Where the hell did I just put my mini roller? Right here. So the goal is to keep all the air bubbles out from underneath, if you can help it. If not, we can then pop them. If you get one trapped in there, don't worry, we'll just pop it out with a blade. Now, the thicker layer of a translucent that you use is going to make your colors and stuff look different as well. So again, all of this is stuff you'll play with over time and see what effects you like. But it does need to be thin enough that it actually shows your color through it, you know what I mean? So I'm just rolling it out there to make sure it's on there pretty good and there's not a lot of air bubbles. I got like one I see right there. And so you can try to squish them out. And if not, either take your blade or your craft knife or whatever. Try to slice into it and push it out. I'm not sure if that's actually air in there or if that's just where the layer doubled up. In this spot right here, I think it's actually just where the layer doubled, where I added that extra clay. Let me just make sure. Yeah, that's truly what I think it is. Okay, so now we have our sheet, right? And you can try to get off as much of this translucent as possible if you want. So again, in this case, the next part, when we start tearing it and layering it, people do this different ways. Some people will layer it onto a base clay. Other people will just layer it onto itself. So that will play a role as well if you're going to put on a base clay or not. Again, this people can either roll it through the pasta machine or just thin it out by hand, okay, in this way. I think I generally, it's been over a year now before I started making videos, since the last time I did this, I generally run this through the pasta machine. I'm going to start on a setting 0 though, just because I don't know how thick all these 3 layers are, so I don't want to smush it too much. So I was on a 0, it didn't really do anything. So I'm going to go down to a 1, which is almost exactly like my 0. Again, didn't really do anything, so I'm going to go down to a 2. And I'm rotating it each time I'm putting it through. I just want to stretch this out a little bit. I'm going to go to a 3 because I hardly got anything. There we go. The 3 stretched it a little bit because you can see I crackled. And I don't think I'm going to lay this on any base clay. I think I'm just going to lay it upon itself. So from here out, you literally, some people will rip it and just lay it down because, you know, you're working in one section. You pretty much all have the same color in that one section. So some people, you know, you can have bigger pieces, smaller pieces. All of that will affect your look. And again, that's where you're going to have to play around and see what you get. So, you know, I guess the goal is just to kind of try not to get the same color next to each other and just begin layering pieces on top of each other. You know, and generally I'll just, you know, pull a couple pieces from this corner, then I'll grab a piece from this corner, and then a little bit from this corner, and hopefully, well, that's just translucent, each corner has a different color on it, or each area you pull from has a different color variation or color tone on it. You know, and again, the more you overlap them when we roll this out will play a role in how much of your backing clay you're going to see. And I hope this makes sense. I'm sure you guys have seen this before. This is nothing new. This is not a new technique. Some people call it watercolor. Some people call it torn paper. So I almost kind of just want to do a little batch like this and set this back aside so I can decide on what I want to use for a pendant. So then what we're going to do is just start rolling this out. And when we start smushing it is when we're going to start getting our base clay, the silver and the pearl showing through. And depending how thick those layers were will depend how much of it you see. So this will be my little test bakes here. So can you see the silver and the pearl all around? And you could see some flakes of metal leaf, but around each layer you can kind of see that little layer of silver and pearl. So what I'll do is we'll create each one, and then we'll do a bake and bake them, and then we'll see what we like, or what I like, and what I think would go cool with that orange cane and that yellow cane I just made. Or maybe I'll get ideas to do other things. So there's one with alcohol inks. And again, if you had a bigger batch and you wanted to run that through your pasta machine to stretch it out and not just do it by hand to make sure it was even, you could. I probably will later, but on my test bake, I'm not going to. This will just ultimately give me an idea of what it's going to look like. And it's going to be more vibrant once that translucent goes fully clear. Okay? So there's one of them. I think for the next one, I got my silver one done. I think for the next one, let's just do some white. Got some white right here. And you want to do, let's do some acrylic paints. So I went kind of with the blue theme, the blue turquoisey theme. Let me just shake them really fast. So I have the folk art. This is a metallic, blue sapphire. I have a chalk paint, which should show up matte. This one is Lagoon. And then I have this Peacock Pearl and the Dazzling Metallics by Deco Art. So I think these might look cool. And then with these, what I might do is add some mica powders and see what effect. So I have, this is a Pearl X set that you can get on Amazon. This one's Micro Pearl, which is like a white, very fine. Then I have this turquoise. Might not use them all. We have this Interference Blue, which looks white but gives you a blue shimmer. And Duo Blue Green. So we might use some of that too. So let me get my paints all shaken up. Okay, so let's layer on some paint. So this one is the Peacock Pearl. It had like a little air bubble, so it popped up over the, like boofed up. And we're just layering this on the same way. So all of your mediums, you know, are up to you. It's just kind of what you have available to you, okay? I definitely wanted to make it so we could do it. Everybody could do it, right? Depending on what medium you have will depend on what you'd use and what it looks like. That was sticky. It was like really stringy. So the metallic paints obviously are metallic, and the chalk paints, chalk. It's going to be matte. Just wiping it off a little bit. I'm not like overcritical about this right now. And again, you can let them blend to get a different type color. This matte one's very similar to the Peacock Pearl, except for it's matte. And I've used this chalk paint on polymer clay as well before. And I might leave some open spots for the mica. I was going to cover the whole thing in acrylic paint and then go with mica, but I might go with the mica and see what it looks like. Obviously more with the blues though. So let's do, this is duo blue-green. And maybe I'll get a different brush. I'm trying to use my junk brushes. Now again, this is just like the chalk pastels later. It's going to be hard to get the translucent to want to stick to this powder, but we can. Obviously my acrylic paint's still wet. I could wait for it to dry, but you will have to wait for it to dry before you put your translucent over the top. Let's get some of this turquoise out too. Ooh, that's a bright color. I'm going to mix some in the acrylic and see what it looks like. I also want to do this interference, and at least the interference one, which interference type things. And I have an interference paint that I didn't get out that I was thinking about, but I figured if I'm trying to use as many mediums as I can, I should try micas. I don't know if you guys can see the interference, but I can. Okay, so now we need to let that dry. Once that dries, we'll put our translucent on it. So let me move this stuff. And while that one's drying, we'll do the last batch here. I'm just going to, again, just do white. Oh, shit. Seriously. Damn you. Is that enough? Again, it's on a setting 3. Might not be enough. So I don't want it to be super thick of a layer or of white showing. So if you put it on a 0 and then paint on it, when you smush it out, you'll get a thicker layer. I don't know, maybe we should do it because the paint one I just did was on a 3. So let's put this one maybe on a 1, which is very similar to 0 on my atlas. That way I can show you the difference. A few little... air bubbles down in there, but it should be fine. Let's get rid of these raggedy edges. So this is on a 1, and I'll show you the difference. I was gonna say F me. Keeps sticking together. When it's sticking, it's like adhering sticking. And I do want to get rid of whatever that is because this chalk is not that opaque. So that might show up underneath it. There we go. Okay. So we're using chalk pastels, not oil pastels. They need to be chalk pastels. This is just a cheap set here. And let me open it up. And there's all kinds of them out there with half blocks. These are full blocks. Okay, which are really long. Half blocks are half of that. You don't need full blocks. These will take you years to go through unless you do chalk art, you know, like with art with chalk. And actually, I have one more set. Let me grab it out because I might have some different colors than these. This is another set I have. These are half blocks. So you usually get more color in a half block set than you do a full block set. But I am going to go with yellows like I did before because I liked that so much. So let me see what yellows I have in each one. So I do have this yellow, obviously. Is that the same as that yellow or not? It's hard to tell. Might be a little different. And I have this yellow, which is kind of a little orangey. Same with that one. These two are very similar. So, you know what? I'm just going to use my half blocks because it looks like I have almost exactly the same colors in each. One was a gift. One I bought. I bought the half block set and then I was gifted the full block set. So I'm going to kind of go with yellows and potentially like goldy colors. Let's see. Do I have another? I could even throw a little bit of this orange in there. Maybe that. Using chalks, because they get all funky on the outside, I tend to wipe them off. And then you take your craft knife, if you want, or you could just wipe it, you know, with your finger or whatever. But you can shave some off like this. I mean, you can go up and down. I don't think it really matters. I heard someone say once go up and down with your blade, but I get fine shavings. I mean, I'm not really jamming into it, just lightly. So I'm just wiping off the outside before I do that to make sure it's the pure color. And this is going to be the hard one. So the acrylic one, I won't show you how I lay the translucent on because I'm going to do it the same way we did the first one. This one I'll show you when I lay the translucent on because it is a lot harder because this is like a release. It doesn't really want to stick to it. Maybe just a hair of that. Because I like that yellow one I made a long time ago. I want to do another one. So again, you could take a paintbrush, you could do your finger, whatever you want, and just kind of apply this down on here. And it's a faint anyways. This could be eyeshadow, this could be mica powder, whatever, again, whatever you have at home, that's what you use. So I've given you like a bunch of different mediums that you can use. And again, you could use clay. If you have clay colors you want, on this white base, you could roll your clay out into like setting 9 and then smear different clay colors. I've seen people use gelatos, anything that's polymer clay compatible, really. So have fun, go for it, just try things out. You know, try doing different color bases. I prefer the white, which is why I did most of them with just a white base. And I didn't do one with black because I just prefer the way the white looks with them. Instead of a layer of white and black, some people do. I prefer just the white. So that's why I'm just doing the white. But try different color bases. You know, do a white with blue under it. Do white with green under it. I mean, we did white with silver, but do whatever you want to do. And then try out different mediums and try different thicknesses of your base clay to see what you like that shows up better. I don't know, just play and have fun. Stretch it out differently. You know, once you get the translucent on, stretch one out more than another. See if you like that better. It's all about whatever you want to do and what you like. I might need to add more yellow because I don't really want it to be a big orange one. I want it to be more yellow. I just was going to add a tiny little bit of orange to it. And I'm really I'm not like pushing it hard, but I'm burnishing it in there with this. I mean, again, you could apply it with your finger and really burnish it in there with your finger. Again, there's so many different ways to apply this and do this. It's really all up to you. You don't need paintbrushes. You really, really don't. Let's do this one, a little bit of that one. I mean, does it show up darker when I do it with my finger? More opaquely? Kind of looks it. Opaquely, if that's even a word. So I'm kind of really burnishing it down into the clay. I do want to get a little bit of this orange on here, maybe this one here, because it's still more golden. I don't know how dark I want that to be. Just trying to make sure I have enough variation in it, though. Okay. Put these away. And then I'm going to blow this off. Just to make sure I get all the or tap it off somehow. Just make sure you get all the extra chalk off. Okay, so there's our yellow one. And so now what we need to do is, I'm trying to wipe my fingers off, grab another piece of translucent, which I rolled a couple pieces out on 9 because I had to condition it, but again, I don't know. Oh, that one I picked up. Okay. Except for it's going to be huge, and I don't want to get color all over it. Let me cut some of it off. I know you can't see that. I was just cutting a little bit off. Diesel, what are you doing? Stop walking under my chair. Okay. Let's see if we can get this one to stick. And it definitely takes a minute to get it to stick down. Like it really, really doesn't want to. Like you really, really have to force it to stick. Let the heat of your fingers kind of burnish it down on there while you're smushing out air bubbles. I mean, it's actually sticking fairly well. It was easier than the first time I did it. I felt like it is the middle of summer, so maybe that's making a difference. Then in the winter, it didn't want to stick down. I think I started clay in like February or March. When I started it, it was more like winter time, so it didn't really want to stick down. So maybe the summer is making that easier. I haven't done it since. Not that I didn't want to, I just already made a couple pieces. This one, let's roll through our pasta machine. Again, starting on a setting 0, because it's on a 1, right? And then we just added the translucent. So let's start on a 0 and then work our way down and stretch this one out a little bit too. So that was on a 0. I put it in like this. Now I'm going to rotate back to a 1. Rotate. I'm going to go to a 2. Maybe rotate one more time and go to a 3. See? And we stretch that one out. So that one I'm going to do the same thing, make just a little batch of it to bake. So there we go before baking. Remember, this one, the white is showing up a lot thicker than on that one because the white was on a setting 1. This was on a setting 3, and that we rolled out to a setting 4. So, you know, you get less showing depending how thick your base clay is. So this is what they look like before baking, and once we bake them, the translucent will go clear. Though it looks fairly clear right now, it's going to go even more clear. So I'll put these in the oven probably for just about, 20 minutes or so, just to show you. I don't need a whole bunch of strength on this, but just so it can go clear. and then I'll show you what it looks like, and then I'll decide what I'm going to make with them. So they're out of the oven, and I just did a quick buff with my buffing wheel. No sanding, no nothing. So here's the blue. It's actually my favorite right now. I got this really cool effect, I think, from the mica in there. You see the mica down in there? And the metallic paint. So I really like that one. The green, see, I like it with the white better. I always do. This one has the silver. Again, if you would have done black, you would have seen the black, but that has the silver and pearl. That's where you're getting all that kind of gray lining. And then this is the white. And again, between the two white ones, this we started out on setting 1 with the base clay. This was a setting 3. So if you would have gone thinner, you would have had less white, or a thicker, more white. Same with this. If I had done these guys thicker too with the gray and the pearl, you know, that's a pretty thin. That was a 4. It would have showed up more or less. Also, the more you overlap, the more it's going to show up, because the more you're going to have to smear it when you roll it out. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to make something to go with these canes. I was thinking the green might look cool, but maybe not with one of these. But also, I have my translucent flowers. One we made a long time ago, and then the one we just recently made that you can see a little bit right there. So I was thinking that might also look cool on, you probably wouldn't see it on these light ones, but if we layer it on top of the dark, it might be worth a try. You know, it might show up on top of the dark one. And we made a flower a while back too, a translucent one that I haven't used either. So we could try to layer that on this and see if it shows up for one half, and then we could, you know, even do the yellow next to it on another half. I might just make a blue pendant. I might do a yellow one. The yellow one might look good with this, potentially. Half and half. So I don't know. We got to figure it out. We could even layer them on top. You know, we don't need to do one side the other. We could put them right on top of that, because this is opaque clay. So I probably wouldn't put that one on top of it just because it wouldn't show up, but it might look cool next to the green. So anyways, that would be a different video, but this kind of showed you the watercolor technique. So take it wherever you want it. You know, use not just white, not just black. Use different colors and see what you get. You know, you could have used dark blue here, or anything. You could have used orange. Use all kinds of mediums that you have. You can see a little bit. I didn't get a lot of the metal leaf in on this one, but you can see a little bit of it there. So yeah, I guess have fun and play around. And I'll be using these. I'll probably just do a plain blue pendant. We'll come back and we'll do that on another video. And I might try to figure something out to use some canes that I have, because I want to get them using them up. If not, I'm just going to, not this one or this one, because I just made these, but some of my old ones I might scrap just to get some more colors going if I'm not going to use them in anything.